Hi everybody. So in this video, we're going to look at identifying outliers. We're going to work through two examples. Example 1 involving box plots, example 2 involving standard deviation, and then finally we'll finish with an exam style question. If you want to work along with me in this video, you can download a copy of a PDF from my website. I'll leave a link in the description below. So we should know from our work at GCSE that this is a box plot, and it contains the middle 50% of the data from the upper quartile, Q3, to the lower quartile, where this is the interquartile range. So an outlier is an observation that appears outside of the other members of a sample in which it appears. So for instance, on our diagram, the outlier could be over here, or it could be on this side. And it's commonly defined as any observation that's either greater than the upper quartile Q3 plus 1.5 lots of the interquartile range. So that would make it up here somewhere. Or it's less than the lower quartile Q1 minus 1.5 lots of the interquartile range. So that would be down here. And we need to identify outliers so we can remove them from our data set. This is known as cleaning our data. So in example 1, we're told that the lower and the upper quartiles of a data set are 80 and 110. And we're given our conditions for the outlier here. We've been asked to work out whether the data values 36 or 157 are outliers. So the first thing we need to do is use our upper and lower quartile to sketch a box plot. We've got Q3, and this is given as 110, and we've got Q1, this is 80. We don't need to use the median to identify an outlier. So our interquartile range will be 110 take away the 80. This will give us an IQR of 30. So now we need to work out 1.5 times this interquartile range. And 1.5 times 30 will give us 45. So if we add some whiskers onto our box plot, then 110 plus the 45 would be our upper limit. And our lower limit would be the 80 take away the 45. So this would be 35. So anything that falls within this range can be included in our data set. Anything that falls on the outside would be considered an outlier. And we can see that the value 36 would fall about here. So this would be included in our data set. It is not an outlier. But 157 would fall outside of a range. So this would be an outlier. So we identify this as writing an X at 157. This shows that there's an outlier at this point. Okay? Let's move on to example 2. So in example 2, we're told that the daily maximum temperature T in degrees Celsius was recorded over 10 days in Heathrow in 2015, and the data is summarized here. We're told that the highest T value is 24 degrees, and that an outlier is an observation that falls either 3 standard deviations below the mean or 3 standard deviations above the mean. We've been asked to work out whether the 24 degrees is an outlier. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to find the mean average. We're calling this T bar. This will be the sum of the data, 187, divided by the sample size, which we know is 10. So this will give us a mean average of 18.7. And then to work out the standard deviation, we need to work out our variance. So the variance of T will be the expected value of T squared, so 3,523 divided by 10, minus the expected value of the average all squared. And we can work this out, and we get 2.61. And then we know the standard deviation is the square root of the variance. So the square root of 2.61 will give us 1.616. So this is our standard deviation. And to work out whether it's an outlier, we need to multiply this by 3. So 3 lots of our standard deviation will be 4.85. Okay? So to find the accepted values, we'll draw a scale. We'll have the central value as a mean, and then 3 standard deviations away from this will be 23.55, and 3 standard deviations below it will be 13.85. And then we can see that the temperatures would fall around here. So I'll mark this with a cross, and this will be 24. So we can say that since the 24 is greater than 3 standard deviations plus the mean, 24 is an outlier. Okay? Let's try the exam style question. So in our exam style question, we're told that a company recorded the amount it received in sales per month, and that the results are summarized in this table below. And we're given here the conditions for an outlier. We've been asked to draw a box plot and then to indicate any outliers. So perhaps you want to try this question yourself. You can pause the video, and when you come back, we'll go through a working solution. Okay, so welcome back if you had a go. So we'll begin with our lower quartile at 7. Then we've got our upper quartile 14. And our median of 11. We'll draw these together as a box. Now we can use the interquartile range to identify whether any of these extreme values are an outlier. We know the IQR will be the upper quartile minus the lower quartile, which is 7. So now we need to use these conditions. We'll multiply this by 1.5, and we get 10.5. So now the upper limits will be Q3, 14, plus the 10.5, which will give us 24.5. So you can see that we will include the 21, but this 25 we can consider to be an outlier. So our whisker will go up to 21, then we'll put a cross at the 25 to indicate our outlier. And then for our lower limit, this will be the 7 minus the 10.5. This gives us a negative of 3.5. So you can see that we would include each of these values. So our whisker is at 4. Okay? Well, thank you very much for watching. I hope you found that useful. If you did find that helpful, please like and subscribe. And you can download the full lesson and the PDF that accompanies this video from my website, mrmathematics.com. I'll leave a link in the description below.